All right, your week is done. You can relax, you can breathe, you can focus on the things you want to do. Hopefully you get some time this week to just do whatever it is you feel like doing, whatever that is. I'm going to tell you about three things you probably don't know about in the world. We're talking about pigeons. We're going to talk about Robin Hood. I know you haven't heard about him for quite some time. And then we're going to talk about a unique way to deal with speeding. Let's jump into it. Relax. I got you for the next 5, maybe 10 minutes. You don't have to worry about anything. This is the Calm Down. I'm Thomas, I think, on most days. The human competitive spirit knows absolutely no limit. There are people who will do just about anything. I have been watching, again, one of my favorite movies called Margin Call, and in it, one of the most ruthless characters says there are 3 ways to do something. Be first, be smartest, or cheat. I would say that repeats everywhere in life. And in Belgium, right now, something very serious has happened. Because people have found a loophole. And it is in a world I know you all care a lot about. And I know that a lot of you have been dying to hear somebody talk about it. And it is in pigeon racing. Yeah, pigeon racing. In Belgium, there are people who are cheating. They have traced doping into some of these pigeons that they use for racing. Now, these pigeons, they are in the same way in the world of horse racing. There are just some of them in some lineages that are just better pigeons, I guess. Yeah, pigeons for racing pigeons. They're better pigeons. There's, of course, no jockey involved. At least, I don't know how that would work. You train another small animal to be the jockey on the back of a pigeon. Anyway, in Belgium, these pigeons, they can go for $1.5 million for one pigeon that you then use to race. The Westminster of pigeon racing. What they discovered was there were human-used doping standards for these pigeons. So 2 of the things that they've discovered is anti-inflammatory human medication to help a pigeon fly faster, and then cocaine. Now, I always thought that if a pigeon took cocaine, it became a dove, but it turns out it just flies faster and wins you gold medals in Belgium. So for some reason, anti-inflammatories and probably some form of HGH and cocaine has been used to manipulate the pigeon. So it wasn't enough to spend $1.5 million on a pigeon to do pigeon racing with. You also have to jack it up with a little 8-ball so it goes even faster. Can you imagine being that pigeon? Little old football-style lace leather helmet, and off you go with your heart beating out of your chest as you try to fly around and get back to the finish line because your Belgian master might not give you another 8-ball. For those of you who have been to Sweden, you will know that there is Stockholm, there is Göteborg, there is Malmö, and then there is stuff. Mountains, lakes, nature, and stuff. Nature. You know, it's Sweden. It's in the north. And there is a particular drag of highway that is incredibly dangerous. Now, that is not an unheard of thing in countries that endure extreme weather, whether that is desert or that is the tundra. It really affects roads. And there is a particular stretch of highway in Sweden where people keep crashing, and occasionally, tragically, there are also deaths. The police couldn't get people to stop speeding, because it's a stretch of highway that is incredibly straight with a few bends, and it doesn't look dangerous, but if there is a slight breeze and there's black ice, you can't tell how dangerous it is, and you will lose control of your vehicle and it will slide and spin and you're done. God forbid someone else is too. So you would think that you would set up speed traps, cameras, all kinds of things to give people fines. Now, they did that, but it didn't work. So in a case of ingenuity, genius ingenuity, I think we could say. The Swedish police force decided that instead of giving traffic fines up to however high they can go, they keep the traffic fines the standard that they are relative to how fast you went. But anybody who drives on this stretch of highway and stays under the speed limit is automatically entered into a lottery drawing for the winnings that year of everybody who did speed. Think about that. Little stretch of highway in your local town that everybody keeps speeding on, that place where you keep hearing these idiots do donuts and drag racing every night. Every single person who has gotten any kind of fine on that stretch of road, the money goes into a pool, and everybody who stayed under the speed limit or the speed limit got entered into it by virtue of your license plate. And then if your name was drawn, you get all the money for maintaining a law that was there to protect you from yourself anyway. And wouldn't you know it, the next year, speeding dropped by 20% because incentives work. So it's time to look at a full circle moment, something that I always try to take a moment and appreciate, because you don't always get to see the entire arc of a story, or even, a full chapter. The Cathedral Notre Dame in Paris, for instance, that was finished in 1979. It started in year 1100-ish. That means people who started it didn't get to see it finished, and many generations in between never got to see the final result. It's one of the things I think in society we've lost a little bit in our short-term feedback loop gratification cycle. So the story that you've all heard the name of, you've all heard the titular character, Robin Hood, has come to a bit of a full circle. Robin Hood would always hang out in Sherwood Forest, and there is a particular major oak in Sherwood Forest that is where in particular, the guy himself hid, because he's a real guy. And it kept him safe, and it has been a historied major oak, and it has been around for 1,200 years. People have been visiting it, and it has officially been declared dead. Now, it is not because there is a disease, there is not something going on with the trees in the area, it hasn't been poisoned, there's no nefarious actor. It has quite literally been loved to death, because everybody who goes to the area goes out to see this major oak that protected Robin Hood in Sherwood Forest. And over time, so many people have visited it that they have trampled the earth down, and the ground has gotten so condensed that the rain couldn't get through the earth and into the roots of the tree. So the tree has slowly died from thirst because it couldn't get enough water down to its roots, and it has now officially been declared dead. So here, 1,200 years later, we have loved this story for so long. We've appreciated it for so long. We've seen so many different iterations. So many generations have been told about this person who, in an almost sort of modernized Jesus-like way, stood up for the little guy and gave him something back. This traditional hero story of a person who made a different choice and put their life on the line, that we gravitate to during every human era. We've now gone to see a monument to what kept him safe, which was Mother Nature. And as fate would have it, the rhyming couplet on the end of the Robin Hood story is, "We loved him so much, we stood on the roots of the tree that kept him protected until it couldn't breathe anymore, because we clamored, as we do, with our affection." So we love bombed Robin Hood's tree to death. That's what I'm trying to say. That's where this is going. And it's just a fun thing to see that so many different eras of humanity, so many different things can change. I mean, 1,200 years, think about that. That's incredible. So many different things, so many different conflicts, people, rulers, ways of being, social norms, eras. It all has changed, and yet these things remain constant. And so it just reiterates something that I've believed my whole life, which is we need community, we need food, we need shelter, and we need entertainment. Entertainment being storytelling, games, that kind of stuff. And clearly some stories, they do actually stand the test of time. until the 1200-year mark, and then it's over. All right, guys. This has been the Calm Down. Hopefully you have a delightful weekend. Hopefully you get to enjoy something special, have something sweet, something sour, something in between, and then maybe a hug or two. I don't know. Just feel good about yourself. Go into Monday like a hero, because I know you can. Whitney Houston was singing about you when she was singing I Will Always Love You, but I'm confusing that with Mariah Carey, which is the song Hero. Please don't tell them. They'll be upset.